I think there'll be a debate about whether it's Bitcoin only or Bitcoin and a couple of proof of work tokens. But I think they're going to focus on Bitcoin. Ultimately, they're going to realize that they should build their business around Bitcoin. And if you're going to be a crypto exchange, you're going to have to be an exchange that trades assets that are without an issuer. So that means they have to be ethically distributed or fairly distributed without an ICO, without a pre-mine, based on some proof of work consensus, some consensus protocol, which is deemed by the regulators to be truly decentralized.
Michael Saylor, founder of MicroStrategy, has emerged as a prominent figure in the world of finance and cryptocurrency. With a relentless drive for innovation and an unwavering belief in the transformative power of Bitcoin, Saylor has become a leading advocate for digital assets and blockchain technology. During the interview, Saylor highlighted why he believes that we are looking at a Bitcoin-centric future. However, Saylor believes that ultimately exchanges will recognize the importance of building their business around Bitcoin only. He pointed out that the existence of numerous cryptocurrencies, around 25,000, has led to manipulation of money within the crypto industry. However, the departure of figures like Sam Bankman-Fried and shutting down of crypto exchanges like FTX and FTT was necessary, which were responsible for creating confusion and undermining Bitcoin. According to FTX balance sheets at the time of its bankruptcy in November 2022, the company held $500 million worth of Anthropic stock. Bankman-Fried has been accused of orchestrating a complex fraud scheme involving the misappropriation of billions of dollars in FTX customer funds. This incident highlighted the need for regulatory measures in the cryptocurrency industry. Saylor argued that any chaos or challenges only make Bitcoin more important and successful. Bitcoin has surged above $30,000 thanks to a wave of optimism from institutional investors who started eyeing up the asset following a high-profile ETF application. The pump comes after BlackRock last week applied to the SEC for a spot Bitcoin ETF, something that the regulator is yet to approve. We will now present you with clips from Michael Saylor interview with Bitcoin News. Before we proceed further in this video, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon to stay updated.
I think the regulation is accelerating Bitcoin adoption because the 25,000 cryptos create a lot of confusion. And a lot of the money from cryptos, if you look at Sam Bankman-Fried, Sam was raising billions and billions of dollars and using it to manipulate politicians and celebrities and corporations against Bitcoin. So the fact that Sam is gone, FTX is gone, FTT is gone, and all the hundreds of millions of dollars that crypto exchange was using in order to create confusion and to undermine Bitcoin, who do you think spread the Bitcoin is environmentally unfriendly narrative? It was the guy supporting FTT token and proof of stake tokens. And how do you think they paid for it? Every academic, every politician, every journalist that ever actually thought about that, who do you think instigated that? That was actually the rest of the crypto industry. So the regulation is actually shutting down the parts of the industry that are dysfunctional to the progress of Bitcoin and even dysfunctional to the progress of the crypto revolution. So I think that what you're going to see is that the pretenders to Bitcoin, things that pretend to be decentralized that aren't, they're going to fall by the wayside. They're going to get regulated out. I think that all of the fact that that regulation is arriving gives a green light to governors, presidential candidates, Congress people, senators, and regulators to support Bitcoin. And that will cause people with hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars of assets to buy Bitcoin. So this is a necessary step along the road to the hyper-Bitcoin future. I don't think there is a threat. I think that Bitcoin is winning regardless of what you do or what I do or what anybody does because of the law of thermodynamics. Right? It's like saying, what's the greatest threat to the universe continuing to move forward and the passage of time and entropy? It's like the sun's going to burn out. The universe is going to continue to move forward. The stars will continue to do their thing. We can't stop that. That's the law of thermodynamics. the reason that Bitcoin is going to win is because it's the most thermodynamically sound asset and the most thermodynamically sound network. It is the one that needs the least amount of energy, that it is the most robust to volatility. And whatever happens, whatever chaos ensues, it just makes Bitcoin that much more important and that much more successful, right? The chaos is undermining the competitors to Bitcoin. So ultimately, Bitcoin is going to continue to grow from 5 billion to 50 billion to 500 billion to 5 trillion to 50 trillion to 500 trillion. It's going to grow. The only thing that we can do is decide who wins and who loses. If you educate your friends and you educate your corporations and they adopt Bitcoin earlier, they'll benefit from it. And if you care about your country or your family, then you teach them about Bitcoin and they'll be early beneficiaries. There's going to be people that are early to the revolution. There are going to be people that are late to the revolution. But it'll happen. And I don't really see any obvious threat to it. All I see is just milestones, right, along the way.
During the interview, Michael Saylor made clear that presidential candidates will need to support Bitcoin if they want to address millions of single-issue voters. According to him, the cryptocurrency has unprecedented endorsement from 4 U.S. presidential candidates, including Robert Kennedy and Ron DeSantis, and with recent Bitcoin support initiatives being introduced by large money managers, including BlackRock, Fidelity, and Charles Schwab, is an indication that they now know Bitcoin as the clear winning asset. Saylor highlighted in his recent tweet that Bitcoin now has the support of presidential candidates, regulators, legislators, money managers, bankers, investors, and the general public. The future will bring a parade of positives for those intent on proliferating Bitcoin as an instrument of economic empowerment. Earlier this month, Charles Hoskinson, the founder of the Cardano blockchain, urged the American populace to become a single-issuer voter in the forthcoming election cycle to curb the U.S. government's perceived madness regarding crypto regulation. Saylor expressed his belief that protecting the integrity of the base layer of Bitcoin is utmost important. Furthermore, he advocates for experimenting with protocols on Layer 2 rather than risking the entire Bitcoin network. Let's get back to interview.
I think that every presidential candidate is eventually going to endorse Bitcoin. We've already got Robert Kennedy on the Democratic side, and we've got Ron DeSantis on the Republican side endorsing Bitcoin. I think the support for Bitcoin amongst presidential candidates is unprecedented and it's going to grow. There are many, many millions of voters. I think I ran a survey on my Twitter. Something like 86% of all Bitcoiners are single-issue voters. And so they're not going to vote for anybody that doesn't support Bitcoin. And I think that like 40 million people in the US are crypto adherents. So I think you've got a very, very large group of voters in America that are all going to be pro-Bitcoin, and most of them will require their candidates support Bitcoin in order to get their vote. The most important thing is you protect the integrity of Layer 1. Protect Bitcoin. I think it's okay. It's okay to create new ideas. It's okay to criticize them. Like maybe you think it's stupid. And if you think ordinals are not an intelligent thing, so you criticize it. And if you're right, then no one will use it. Okay? And if it turns out that, you know, maybe one day a bank wants to issue letters of credit and they want to burn them on the Bitcoin base layer, and each one is worth $1 billion. They'll be doing billion-dollar transactions on the Bitcoin base layer. And if they think that's a good idea, and if the world thinks that's a good idea, that will help us move toward hyper-Bitcoinization. And if it's a stupid idea, they'll fail, it won't work, and then they'll stop it. So I tend to be of the view that with regard to Layer 1, you can create, you can criticize, but don't censor. With regard to, and be very conservative. Like if you think you know that that's a bad idea, well, do you know that in 100 years, 8 billion people doing 100 million things won't make it a good idea? Can you tell me for sure that in 100 years, 8 billion people won't come up with a good idea that you haven't thought of? So The free market is, we just let billions of people do millions of things, and if they're stupid, they'll fail. But someone may invent a good idea that you didn't think of. They'll succeed. I tend to think that if you want to experiment with the protocol, you should do it on the layer 2. Like if you want to do smart contracts and super fast payments and take a risk, well, you risk the money in the channel. You can risk the money in the layer 2 channel. Don't risk the entire Bitcoin network, right? Because you're risking the future of the human race. So don't put all of humanity and human civilization and put the entire Bitcoin network at risk. You come up with your idea. If it's a good idea, it will spread on the layer 2. And then it won't need to be on layer 1, right? And if there's an overwhelming consensus and everybody agrees that it's a good idea, then maybe Bitcoin will evolve. But if it's a controversial idea and you want to make it open source, you do it layer 2. And if it's a controversial idea, but you don't want to make it open source, build a Bitcoin app like Cash App or Coinbase or Binance or whatever. MicroStrategy is a Bitcoin idea. We decided to take a public company. We bought Bitcoin and we sell a security. It's not a layer 2 idea. It's not a layer 1 idea. It's a layer 3 idea. And if we're right, our shareholders will make a lot of money. They've made billions of dollars. And if we're wrong, our shareholders will lose money, but the Bitcoin network is not threatened. So that's the beauty of Bitcoin. Bitcoin allows hundreds of millions of companies and billions of people to all engage in the way that they want.
Looking ahead is evident that Bitcoin's trajectory continues to be influenced by regulatory developments, institutional adoption, and the evolution of Layer 2 solutions. As more countries establish regulatory frameworks and institutions openly support Bitcoin, it may further solidify its position as a dominant digital asset. Bitcoin registered a significant rise after giant financial companies spot Bitcoin ETF applications. As a result, our projection for Bitcoin's price in 2023 suggests that it may reach unprecedented levels, potentially skyrocketing to $75,000. How do you envision the role of Bitcoin evolving in the coming years, considering the increasing endorsement and regulatory developments taking place globally? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you find this video informative, don't forget to show your support towards our channel by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications to stay informed about our latest videos covering more interesting topics. Thank you for watching.